Rusev, former WWE superstar Rusev. Could Rusev in the future theoretically go to Impact Wrestling? That's what we're going to be discussing today. Rusev is, of course, one of the several WWE superstars, producers, writers, and employees that were released by WWE in April due to budget cuts associated with the ongoing worldwide COVID-19 pandemic. Now, since his departure from WWE, Rusev, now he goes by the name of Miro, now his real name, he's had a change of career choice. Recently, Rusev opened up an online streaming platform. He's on Twitch, he's on YouTube. He's currently an online streaming personality. The Bulgarian Brute regularly streams on platforms such as Twitch, hosting a very popular Twitch account. He also uploads videos to his official YouTube account, some of which include his wife Lana, of course. He even stated recently, and he grabbed a lot of attention by this, Rusev claimed that he's no longer a professional wrestler. He insisted that he's currently enjoying his new streaming career and he sees himself as a professional Twitch streamer. So, could theoretically Rusev go to Impact Wrestling? That's what we're going to discuss today. But before we do, let's have a word from one of the great presenters of Wrestle News 365. Support for Wrestle News 365 is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Now, Manscaped, for all of my UK fans out there, Manscaped just launched in the UK. Over here in the United Kingdom, we have gone for years and years and years without using the right tools for the job. But now you can be one of the first men in England to experience their life-changing product. But it's not just limited to all of the great fans over here in the UK. This offer goes worldwide, so all of my friends over in America and around the world that are listening to this offer still does apply for you. You can still use our code. But I've got to tell you a quick story first. Now, there have been so many times, right? I'm a guy. You gotta groom down there, fellas, right? That's the most important thing. You gotta keep yourself trimmed. You gotta keep yourself proper. And a lot of the time, I've been guilty of this, of using the wrong tools for the job. I've had incidences, I'm not afraid to say it, where things have been nicked, snagged, or in fact cut down there because I wasn't being careful enough and using the right equipment. Now that just shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. You don't want to be worrying about cutting yourself down there. Do you know how painful that is? I can tell you, it hurts quite a lot. And I wish and hope to God it never happens to me again, and it won't happen to me ever again because I'm using Manscaped products. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. Big statement, but it's absolutely true. They have just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 in the UK. It's also available around the world as well. Their third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. So those cuts and snags that I was telling you about before are a thing of the past. And let me tell you, when I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes so you can get a longer, perfect shave. And not only that, you don't want to be cutting yourself and trimming yourself all over the bathroom, getting hair all over the place. That's just disgusting. The lawnmower has a waterproof technology that allows you to groom in the shower, so no more mess. And one of the coolest features, one of my favorite features about the lawnmower is the LED light which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming experience. So you can shave longer, you can shave more precisely, and you can shave in the shower. What more did I need to tell you? They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology, and let's not forget about the charging stand. You can show off your mower loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by USB. So, if you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Let's get that bush to tush clean, and you can get 20% off and free shipping. Yeah, you heard me right there. 20% off and free shipping. All you have to do is use the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. Make your testies their besties. That's 20% off and free shipping. Not only are you getting 20% off, you're getting free shipping as well with the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code 365wrestle. Your balls will thank you. So Rusev in Impact Wrestling. Rusev was a widely popular WWE superstars, amongst fans in the WWE universe, amongst the guys in the back, amongst some in the office. I say some because look at the way his career turned out in the end. But Rusev made his WWE debut on the main roster in 2014. He was in NXT prior to that. And he continued his run with WWE until 2020, earlier this year, when he was released due to the budget cuts associated with COVID-19. Now, during his WWE career, he was often managed and accompanied by his wife, Lana, except at the end when Lana was with Bobby Lashley, and they had a couple of angles where WWE tried to split them up on camera. But for most of the time, Rusev was accompanied by Lana. Arguably, I think it's without question that Rusev's biggest moment during his WWE career was his feud with John Cena over the WWE United States Championship. That was in his first real year on the main roster. Rusev would be undefeated for over 1 year until he was defeated by John Cena for the WWE United States Championship at WrestleMania 31. Rusev, during that WrestleMania, would make an iconic WrestleMania entrance inside an army tank. I'm sure everyone remembers that. Lana recently revealed some sort of details about what actually went on that tank. I don't know if that's true or not. I'll leave that to your imagination. We've spoken about Manscaped at the start of this video. I don't know what they were doing on there, but I'm sure if Rusev used Manscaped, he could be very trim and very happy down there once he was doing that on his tank. But nevertheless, Rusev, honestly, I can't talk today. Rusev would become the WWE United States Champion on 3 separate occasions during his WWE career. He would also have a sort of a second peak of popularity in WWE, and a real thing when I think a lot of people saw the real potential in Rusev was when he became widely popular on SmackDown Live during the Rusev Day gimmick, which saw Rusev paired with Aiden English. But we've heard the reports and discussions recently about Vince McMahon's take on that. It just backs up what everyone thought, that Vince McMahon really didn't see anything in Rusev. He told him that with the fans chanting Rusev Day, that and actually they were laughing at him. They were cheering, they were mocking him with those chants. What a load of baloney that is. What an absolute load of rubbish. But let's not focus on the past. Let's focus about the future with Rusev. Could Rusev go to Impact Wrestling? That's the question we're discussing here today. Financially, I think if you weigh it up financially, some people may argue, Impact Wrestling can't afford Rusev. They can't afford the contract that Rusev was on in WWE. They can't match what he wants. I disagree. I think Impact Wrestling could absolutely pull off the deal to sign Rusev to Impact Wrestling. You look at Impact right now. They signed the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, so very lucrative contracts. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson were absolutely wanted by AEW. I don't know if AEW had made an offer or they had talks, but they would have been able to offer them a good deal. But Gallows and Anderson decided to sign with Impact because Impact gave them a very good financial deal and also the opportunity to work in New Japan as well. And they signed a 2-year deal. So I would speculate that if Impact Wrestling can sign Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, they can absolutely sign Rusev. And in addition to that, look, Impact Wrestling are owned by Anthem. Anthem owns Access TV. Anthem are a very wealthy company. If Anthem think that Rusev can move the needle and help elevate Impact Wrestling to another level, they'll pay the money. They absolutely will pay the money. So financially, absolutely, Impact Wrestling can pull off a deal to sign Rusev. So I don't have any doubts about that. What about the travel? Well, Impact Wrestling do their tapings in Nashville, Tennessee. It's been a historic home for them. Now, they've done tapings in other places like Las Vegas, but recently they've been doing all of their tapings in Nashville. Well, Nashville is the same place that Rusev and Lana do have a residence. If you go and watch Rusev's Twitch streams or you go and watch his YouTube channel, he's very open that he has a place in Nashville. So that eliminates any form of travel if he wanted to go to Impact Wrestling. So that means the travel would essentially be non-existent at that point for Rusev in Impact Wrestling. That's another tick. So that's another thing that could potentially get Rusev to Impact Wrestling. Now, Rusev at the moment does make a decent living from his online streaming. I'm sure he does very, very well from Twitch streaming, from YouTube partnership, and from other sponsorships. He enjoys it. He's obviously enjoying what he's doing right now. He's called himself a professional Twitcher. He's said that he's kind of done with the full-time professional wrestling. Now, some people have speculated that this means Rusev is retired from professional wrestling. Far from it. I think what he means is that the days of him working over 300 days a year on the road like he was for WWE are done, and I don't blame him. In the current environment as well, that's just not a thing that's going to happen. WWE, even themselves, aren't going to go back to working 300 days a year on the road. That's just not going to happen. And to be honest, that aspect of the professional wrestling business has been dying for a long time. Yes, WWE still did make money from their live events, but they were planning on moving away from that for a very long time. So I think obviously the pandemic has changed that because live events just aren't a thing at the moment. But I think the days of live events, 300 days a year, that's done. I think that's done in professional wrestling. You look at a company like AEW right now, they don't do live events. All they do is television tapings. Even prior to the pandemic, all they did is television tapings. Now, they would have, and they were planning, the occasional tours. They'd probably do a tour of the UK and maybe a tour of Japan and stuff like that. But the days of doing 5 live events a week, AEW were never planning on doing that because they realized that that's the business model that just doesn't work anymore or is very archaic. The most money nowadays in professional wrestling is by television deals and sponsorships, not by live events. That's an archaic 1980s, 1990s to early 2000s kind of model, and it has worked for a long time, but the business has changed. So Rusev doesn't have to worry about doing that schedule anywhere, to be honest, but certainly not of Impact Wrestling. So not only is the travel non-existent, Impact maybe do 2-3 days of tapings at most at the moment. And even outside of the pandemic, that's what they'll do. They do have the occasional live episode, but very rarely. So the travel would be non-existent. The strain on the body would be non-existent too. He can continue to do his Twitch streams. He can continue to do his YouTube channel. He can do what he likes. Now, Rusev's non-compete clause expired at the same time as everyone else's did on July 8th. And when other people's contract expires, they signed with Impact Wrestling and signed with AEW. I mentioned earlier the Good Brothers. They signed with Impact Wrestling on July 8th. They made their debut at Slammiversary. Along with a load of other WWE talents. EC3, Heath Slater, Eric Young, etc. But Rusev, out of all of those guys, I think he's probably the guy that's in the most demand. I think there are a lot of companies, I stress a lot of companies that are interested in Rusev right now. That's without a shadow of a doubt. Now, I don't know at this point. I don't know if an Impact Wrestling, if an AEW, etc. I don't know if they've had conversations with Rusev. But to me, all of the promotions that are out there right now, every promotion that is interested in Rusev, he could be a world champion in. I have no doubt. Let's go through a couple here. In All Elite Wrestling, Rusev could easily be a world champion. He could have great matches against the likes of Chris Jericho. He could have great matches against Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega, Cody. My concern with some of the other people that got released by WWE is if they went to AEW, there's a lot of people coming in at the moment. Would they be lost in the shuffle? Rusev doesn't fall into that category. Rusev could absolutely be the AEW World Champion. I have no doubts about that. So he could easily go there and be a world champion. That's absolutely no doubts. Now, what about New Japan? Rusev, to me, in New Japan Pro Wrestling, just seems like the perfect fit. He fits that territory so well, that physical style, that big man, foreign superstar. He could just be such a star in New Japan and make a lot of money there. I think historically, you look at the likes of Bruiser Brody, look at like the Hulk Hogan during his time in New Japan and wrestling in Japan, that big, crazy foreign heel can just make so much money in that territory. And I think Rusev could absolutely do that in New Japan. Now, obviously, people are going to say, well, you're not flying to Japan at the moment, and you're not. You really aren't flying to Japan. The pandemic, the travel bans, the self-isolation, quarantine, etc. He isn't going to go to Japan anytime soon, but that doesn't mean he's not going to sign for New Japan right now. Obviously, he isn't going to be traveling to Japan anytime soon, but New Japan are running shows in the United States right now. They're running shows in California. I believe in addition to Nashville, Lana and Rusev do have a residence in California too. So Rusev could easily go to New Japan, and I think he'd make a lot of money there. But just because he's working with New Japan doesn't mean he can't work with another North American company. You look at the likes of AEW right now, the likes of Cody, Kenny Omega, Brody Lee, Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, and more. they've all got it in their contracts that they have these clauses whereby they can work with New Japan, they just can't work with another North American promotion. Now, what about Impact Wrestling? So that was the big title of this one. Would Rusev be interested in going to Impact Wrestling? In the same way that I think Rusev could be an AEW World Champion, Rusev could absolutely be an Impact World Champion. He could absolutely be a World Champion in Impact Wrestling. There's no doubts there. Rusev, to me, if you're Impact Wrestling, is the kind of guy that you build a promotion around. He's the one you build the whole company around if you can get him under contract. For me, it would be the biggest signing that Impact could have done out of any of these people that have returned or debuted with the promotion recently. And that does include the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Kyle Anderson. That does include EC3. I just think Rusev's a bigger star, a bigger name than any of them, and can make Impact the most money out of all of those guys. Now, Rusev is good friends with the Good Brothers too, so there's a relationship there. And that is important because we know that those kind of things do help out. You look at the Good Brothers signing with Impact Wrestling in the first place, they had a relationship with Scott D'Amore. So, obviously, Rusev probably has friends in AEW and New Japan too, but it's important to consider those relationships. So, is the deal possible between him and Impact Wrestling? You know, anything's possible. Absolutely anything's possible. Do I believe that Rusev / Miro, when he says that I'm done as a full-time wrestler? I do. As I mentioned earlier, I don't think he wants to do the 300-day travel of a pro wrestler nowadays, and I don't think he would in any company that he goes to. I think if he went to AEW, he'd just work the TV tapings and the pay-per-views, and that would be the same with anywhere right now because live events aren't a thing. So absolutely anything is possible. He is enjoying what he's doing right now with his streaming. He's taking time off and away from wrestling, and I don't blame him. You look at that run with WWE, it didn't end in the best way. Some of those last angles he was involved in weren't good. He didn't get the shots that he deserved when he really did get over with the Rusev Day gimmick. The stories that we've heard recently about Vince McMahon saying that the fans are mocking you when they're chanting Rusev Day, or they don't mean it, or when he spoke to Vince McMahon, because the Rusev Day shirts were outselling everyone, including Roman Reigns. And he would go to Vince McMahon and he would say, look, why are all my stuff selling out and we're not making more? And Vince McMahon would say, oh, maybe we need to make more. Or the only reason you're selling out is because you don't have as many shirts as Roman Reigns. It was just BS excuses like that. Again, it wasn't someone that they planned to get over. It was a gimmick that they didn't plan to get over. And it does make you wonder that WWE, ultimately, people always say with WWE, well, if there's money there to be made, they'll make it. That isn't particularly always the case. If there's money there to be made, but it isn't what they planned, they'll leave the money on the table. They don't care. If it's not part of the big plan, then they'll leave it on the table, and that's what they did with Rusev, unfortunately. Now, again, he's taken time off and away from wrestling. I know at one point in his career he did have a broken neck, so I don't know how those issues bother him today, but if he wants to take time off and away, he's still making a living, I don't blame him. But the idea that he'll never wrestle again, I doubt that. That wrestling bug never leaves. He does love the business, and I think the interest would be there. It's just a case of, can Impact put together a financially and creatively satisfying deal in this climate? That's going to be the difficult one there. If I had to put my neck on the line, if I had to guess right now, where is Rusev going to go next? I would likely say AEW and New Japan is probably the most likely place for them, but Impact is a possibility. It's absolutely a possibility, so we can't rule that out. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts? Where do you think Rusev will end up next? Do you think Rusev would be interested in a run with Impact Wrestling? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys on this channel. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out, get up the rankings here on YouTube and get into people's recommendation feeds. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. We're closing in on 800 subscribers on that long road to 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can also follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are on the screen right now. The links are in the description box below. It's at 365Wrestle on Twitter and at WrestleNews365 on Facebook and Instagram. So be sure to give us a like or a follow there if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.